Unbelievable encounter. A heartwarming appeal from a hungry boy to a millionaire mourning his son. Jake was no ordinary 12-year-old. In the heart of the suburban jungle, he donned the weight of his single mom's struggles like a badge. Every day felt like sprinting up a hill, the air thick with the scent of autumn leaves and dreams. He worked after school in a local grocery store, the fluorescent lights buzzing above him while he stocked shelves, his heart whispering prayers of stability for his family. But that night, as he trudged home, fatigue clinging to him like a second skin, the world around him lit up with a warmth he couldn't afford. He stopped, mesmerized by the elegant cafe across the street, where the glow of golden lights spilled out onto the cool pavement. The heavenly aroma of fresh pastries twisted around him, beckoning him closer. Jake's mouth watered, imagining biting into a flaky croissant, but he swallowed hard. Memories of empty cupboards and tight budgets crashing down on his dreams. Hunger hollowed out his stomach, reminding him a pastry was a privilege beyond reach. Defeated, he turned his back on the laughter, unaware that inside, Charles, the billionaire owner of that very cafe, was locked in a battle of his own. Charles stepped outside, desperate for the peace of fresh air. The laughter from within clashed with the void left by his son's absence. He averted his eyes from the bustling world, swallowed by grief that came like waves crashing over his heart. But when he glanced down the street, there stood Jake, his thin frame outlined against the cafe's glow, seemingly untouched by despair. There was something undeniably magnetic about the boy's resolve. "Hi," Charles said, a tentative smile breaking through his gloom. Jake's eyes widened, the butterflies in his stomach swirling like a whirlwind. "Hi, Mr. The homeless gaze of the boy reached deeper than Charles expected. Suddenly, it was like someone flicked a switch. Jake spilled his heart, talking about his mother, her endless sacrifices, the grocery store shifts, and the dreams that followed him through sleepless nights. With every word, Charles felt the walls around his grief start to crack, exposing the compassion he had long buried under wealth and loneliness. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Jake laid bare the hopes he harbored for his future, a stable home, a chance to be anything other than what life dictated, Charles's heart twisted painfully in his chest. It dawned on him that all he had clung to was wealth, not the laughter of family or the dreams fought for. Each shared moment felt like opening a floodgate of understanding. But just as hope surged like a tide, the shriek of sirens sliced through the atmosphere, reality crashing back in. Jake looked down the street, the shadow of his responsibilities looming larger than life. Charles felt the ghost of his loss creeping back, the memories too raw to ignore. Would their connection shatter under the weight of their worlds? In that moment, both boys and men held their breath, sensing life's precarious balance hanging between despair and hope. Jake's heart raced as he turned to look down the street. The flashing lights of police cars and the sound of shouting voices pulled him back into his reality. He felt the panic rise in his chest, threatening to swallow the glimmer of hope that had sparked in his conversation with Charles. "Wait," he said, glancing at Charles with wide eyes. I have to go." Instantly, Charles felt a pang of desperation. "Please, don't go. Stay. Talk to me," he urged, clinging to this unexpected connection. Jake hesitated, torn between responsibilities at home and the unexpected kindness radiating from this stranger. "But I need to help my mom," Jake mumbled, glancing once more down the street. The siren screamed in the distance, a reminder of the burdens he carried. Charles took a step forward, feeling that newfound urgency twist in his chest. "Then let me help you." The sincerity in his voice hung in the air, heavy and palpable. Jake searched Charles's eyes, seeing something he hadn't expected: genuine promise. Hesitation flickered, like a candle flame on the verge of going out. How? A quiet determination settled over Charles. "You don't have to do this alone. What if I offered you a job, here, in the cafe? You can work with me, help pay some bills for your family." Jake stared, the offer enveloping him in warmth he'd never known. "Really? But I'm only 12. "I can't promise it will solve everything," Charles admitted, a tinge of vulnerability in his voice. "But it might be a start. And who knows, maybe we can do something more together." The light in Jake's eyes flickered with hope, battling the weight of suspicion. He could hardly comprehend the words. "I don't know. What about school? My mom, she won't agree." "Leave that to me," Charles replied, a resolute spark igniting in him. "Let's talk to her. I'll explain everything." For the first time that evening, a faint smile crept across Jake's face, igniting a faint beacon of light amid the darkness. The sirens still echoed, but now they felt distant, like a fading shadow. I can help with things around here?" Jake asked, almost shyly. "Of course." Charles beamed, transforming his despair into an ember of excitement. "You can learn a lot here, and who knows, maybe you'll inspire someone, just like you inspired me today." The moment felt electric, charged with possibilities, as they both stood there, caught between the realms of uncertainty and newfound purpose. "I'll talk to my mom, I promise." Jake felt a surge of confidence, a decision blooming within him. "Good," Charles said, his spirit ignited. "Let's meet tomorrow. We can figure this out together." As Jake nodded, the world around them resumed its frenetic pace. Lights flickered, laughter mingled with the humming cafe, and for the first time that night, everything felt manageable. But even amid this lightness, the lush reality of Jake's struggles loomed large. What if things didn't go as planned? What if his mother resisted the change? Both men exchanged one last glance, and it was clear, this was only the beginning. With every uncertain step back toward a future filled with questions, Jake felt hope squirm against the weight of reality. How far could this new path take him? As he turned the corner to head home, his heart drummed loudly, echoing with the thrill of change. Questions danced in his mind, swirling like autumn leaves in a windstorm. Would this decision alter the course of his life forever? And behind him, Charles stood still, watching as the boy who might just save him turned a corner into a world of endless possibilities. Jake pushed open the door to their small apartment, the creak echoing in the silence. He was met by the comforting scent of his mom's instant soup simmering on the stove, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions he'd just left behind at the cafe. The familiar setting tugged at his heart, his resolve wavering just slightly. "Mom?" he called, his voice hesitant. The bustling of pots paused, and she appeared in the doorway, her hair pulled back in a messy bun and bags under her eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. "Jake, you're back. How was school?" she asked, trying to mask the worry that often came with their reality. He opened his mouth to respond, but the words tangled in his throat. The image of Charles's hopeful smile flashed before him, urging him to seize the moment. But would his mother understand? "It was okay," he finally said. The truth felt like a weight pressing down on him. She nodded, taking a deep breath. "Good, I'm glad. I know it's been hard, but I'm trying to make things better." Jake felt a pang of guilt. She was trying so hard, and yet here he was thinking of leaving to work with a stranger. "Mom, I met someone today," he said, his heart thrumming. "He offered me a job at his cafe." The room fell silent. His mother's brow furrowed, a mix of confusion and concern washing over her face. "A job? But Jake, you're so young. You should be focused on school." "Mom, I know, but if I can help out, maybe we could pay some bills. It could ease things, just a bit." Jake's voice shook slightly as he spoke, every word laced with hope and uncertainty. She stepped closer, her expression softening. "I don't want you to have that kind of burden, sweetheart. You've got your whole life ahead of you, and school is so important." "Can we at least talk about it? Just hear me out," Jake pleaded. He felt the weight of their situation pressing down on him, but also, with that, came a flicker of hope that he desperately wanted to share. His mom sighed, looking worn out. "If it means that much to you, okay, I'll listen." Jake's heart leaped. It was a small victory, but it was enough. They could work through the what-ifs together. He felt like they were inching closer to understanding, and he pushed onward. "I'll go back tomorrow and talk to Charles more about it. He's really nice, and he wants to help." As his mother nodded slowly, a spark of reassurance ignited in his chest. Maybe this was the turning point for both of them. "Just promise you'll finish your homework and stay focused, all right?" she cautioned, resting her hand on his shoulder. "Yeah, I promise." In that moment, Jake felt a bond tightening, a sense of unity against the struggles that defined their lives. But as they settled into the evening, laughter and tedium blended into a comforting rhythm. His mind couldn't shake the creeping doubt. What if his mom decided it was too risky? What if working with Charles revealed more obstacles than opportunities? As those thoughts gnawed at him, Jake found himself looking out the small window, watching shadows dance in the quickly fading light. There was hope shining out there, swirling with his fears. Was he ready to grasp it? And while the conversation with his mom had gone better than expected, a new wave of questions replaced the old ones. Tomorrow held a promise, but what if the choice was beyond his control? Would he have the courage to pursue it? As the night blanketed the city, Jake lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The sirens echoed faintly in the distance, but now they felt like whispers, reminding him of the battle ahead. Could he truly change the course of his life, maybe even his mother's? With his heart racing and determination replacing doubt, he whispered to the dark, "I can do this." Morning light crept in through the window, painting the room with a soft glow. Jake lay still in bed, his heart still racing from the whisper of determination that lingered in his mind. Today was the day. He could almost feel the weight of the world lifting, but reality quickly rushed back in. His mom would still need him to help around the house. They both had responsibilities to uphold. He jumped out of bed, splashing cold water on his face, trying to shake off the nervous energy buzzing inside him. The cafe idea lingered like the scent of freshly baked bread, promising something different, something new. As he poured a bowl of cereal, he caught his mom's eye across the table. She looked weary but grateful, her smile reflecting a quiet pride. "Morning, sleepyhead. Got big plans today?" she asked, her voice light, but Jake could hear the concern masked within it. "Yeah, actually," he said, scraping his spoon against the bowl. "I'm going to meet Charles again." His mom nodded, her expression a mix of encouragement and trepidation. "Just remember what we talked about. Make sure it feels right." Jake clenched his jaw, a rush of frustration swirling inside him. He wanted to shout that this was his chance, his dream. But instead, he simply smiled back. "I will, Mom." Once he finished breakfast, Jake grabbed his backpack, the weight of his books feeling lighter than usual. Stepping outside, the brisk morning air filled his lungs, bolstering his confidence. As he made his way through the neighborhood, thoughts raced in his mind. What if everything went perfectly? What if Charles really did offer him that lifeline he so desperately wanted? When he reached the cafe, the inviting chatter and aroma of brewing coffee welcomed him, and he took a moment to gather his nerves before stepping inside. The warmth enveloped him, wrapping around his shoulders like a comforting hug. He spotted Charles behind the counter, his signature baseball cap resting low over his brow. "Hey, Jake, glad to see you again." Charles smiled, his eyes lighting up. "Hey, Charles," he replied, his voice steadier than before. They exchanged greetings, but Jake could sense a shift in the air, a heaviness that lingered beneath the surface. "Have a seat," Charles offered, motioning to a cozy corner. As Jake sat, he noticed a visible weariness on Charles's face, similar to that of his own mother. "I was talking to the kitchen staff yesterday," Charles started, but his voice trailed off. "Is everything okay?" Jake asked, his heart thumping in his chest. With a deep breath, Charles finally spoke. "Well, I'm actually looking for part-time help, but not just anyone. I need someone who can be reliable. I've got a lot on my plate after losing my son." The room grew quieter, a solemn weight settling over the vibrant cafe. The news hit Jake harder than he expected. The thought of losing someone he loved felt too familiar. Pain flashed through his chest, but he pushed it down. "I'm really sorry to hear that, Charles." Charles nodded, gratitude mingling with an unspoken pain. "I appreciate that, Jake. If you're willing, I'd love to have you on board. It might even help you find your own way through this." Jake blinked, the reality of the opportunity colliding with the emotional weight of the moment. What if this wasn't just a job? What if this was a connection? "Yeah, I'd love to help out," he finally replied, a shiver of excitement running through him. As they finalized the details, Jake felt the world around him shift. There was an understanding, a shared burden of loss and hope. But deep down, another question nagged at him. Could he truly handle this responsibility, knowing the weight of sadness that came with it? The doubts whispered again, echoing that familiar concern, but this time they felt more manageable. Jake squared his shoulders, determined for the first time. In a world filled with uncertainty, maybe this could be the start of something remarkable. But as Jake left the cafe, a new thought surfaced, clinging to his heart like the morning fog. What if taking this step meant he'd never look back? And was he prepared for the journey ahead? Jake walked home, his mind swimming with conflicting emotions. The cafe and its warmth felt like a different world now, buzzing with life and purpose. Yet the heaviness in Charles's eyes haunted him. He had agreed to step in, embracing the unexpected opportunity, but the deeper ramifications shot through him like lightning. As he entered the small, familiar house, he was greeted by the sound of the television blaring from the living room. His mother often got lost in the lives of characters on screen, seeking an escape from the weight of her own reality. Jake felt an unexpected rush of determination flow through him. Maybe he could share this new path with her, give her a glimmer of hope. "Hey, Mom," he called out, walking towards the living room. She turned, blinking at him distractedly, her expression shifting slowly from surprise to delight. "Jake, you're home early." "Yeah, I had a meeting with Charles. I got the job." He watched her face light up, her eyes sparkling with pride. "Oh, that's wonderful. I knew you could do it." She stood up, crossing the room to embrace him tightly. He wrapped his arms around her, feeling both their burdens in that moment. "What will you be doing?" she asked eagerly. "I'll be helping out at the cafe. It's a part-time thing, but I think it could really make a difference," he replied, but the straining undercurrent of uncertainty remained unspoken. "Just like your dreams, huh? Right in front of you," she beamed. Jake smiled back, but inside, shadows danced around his thoughts. The idea of loss echoed in his mind, mirrored in Charles's sorrowful gaze. Would this job be a source of healing or a reminder of the pain? A part of him wished it didn't weigh so heavily on his heart as he settled into the living room beside her. Later that eve, as night descended and shadows lengthened, Jake slipped into bed. The daylight felt like a badge of courage, but darkness brought with it the weight of reality. He felt restless and uncertain. Charles had silently invited him into a world of grief. Could he find joy amidst the sorrow? Would he let himself live again? In those quiet moments, he thought about what Charles had shared about his son. How in every cup of coffee brewed, he birthed memories and scraps of love lost. Suddenly, his phone vibrated on the bedside table, pulling him from his thoughts. It was a message from Charles.
Hey Jake, I almost forgot to mention, there's a community event this Saturday at the cafe. Would love for you to come by and meet some of the regulars. I think it could help you settle in. Jake stared at the screen, the weight of the invitation anchoring him to a decision point. Meet the people and become part of something larger, or shy away and stay hidden in the shadows. Making a decision suddenly seemed monumental. This Saturday might shift everything for him. He could tell the people their stories, share laughs, connect over the simple joy of coffee. But how would he juggle this with his mom's needs? Could he balance both worlds without losing himself? As he stared at the ceiling, doubt curled in his stomach. But deep down, the truth whispered louder. Every story he connected with might bring him a sliver of joy, perhaps even help him heal. Jake rolled over, determination creeping in once more. If he was going to juggle this life, he would have to share the heaviness of responsibilities. That meant not only working at the cafe, but also finding the courage to open up about his worries. With a sigh of resolution, he finally whispered into the dark, "I can do this." But as the words left his mouth, another question flickered to life. What if these connections led him to uncover something he wasn't ready to face? What choices awaited him in the community's embrace? Those thoughts lingered as he drifted to sleep, a mix of anticipation and uncertainty leaving his heart racing again. The morning light burst through the window, illuminating Jake's room in shades of gold and orange. He blinked at the ceiling, feeling the weight of yesterday's decision merge with a newfound sense of purpose. Today was the day of the community event, and a rush of nerves fluttered in his stomach like restless butterflies. The idea of stepping into the cafe felt like standing on the edge of a high dive. Would he leap or pull back at the last moment? He quickly dressed, shaking off the lingering doubts as he made his way to the kitchen. The comforting scent of coffee filled the air, a familiar aroma that felt like a hug after a long day. His mother was at the table, scrolling through her phone, completely engrossed. "Mom, I'm heading to the cafe soon. Remember the community event I told you about?" he said, pouring himself a cup. She looked up, her eyes brightening. "Of course. Are you excited?" "Yeah, a little," he replied, taking a sip. The hot liquid grounded him. "I think it could be good for me, you know." She smiled, but her face shifted slightly, revealing the worry she often tried to hide. "Just remember to take care of yourself, Jake. I know how much you want to help." "Thanks, Mom. I promise. I will," he said, with more confidence than he felt. He noticed the tinge of worry darkening her brow, but he chose to push that aside for now. He needed to focus on today. As he arrived at the cafe, excitement mixed with apprehension swirled within him. The familiar door swung open, and he stepped inside, the warmth wrapping around him like a soft blanket. The cafe buzzed with chatter and laughter. Regulars were seated at their usual spots, faces familiar but still distant. "Hey Jake, glad you made it." Charles approached him, a grin breaking across his face. "You ready to get your feet wet?" He nodded, but his heart raced. "Yeah, let's do this." Charles directed him to help set up a table outside, where guests could register for the event. As Jake arranged chairs and tables, it began to feel less daunting. A small voice from the corner caught his attention. "Excuse me, mister?" Jake turned to see a young boy, maybe 8 years old, with messy hair and wide, hopeful eyes. "Yeah, what's up?" Jake knelt down to meet him at eye level. The boy's gaze flickered to the ground, then back up. "Is this a place for kids?"
Absolutely, Jake replied, recognizing the innocence there. What are you hoping to do? I want to help, the boy said, clenching his small fists. But I can't carry coffee. Jake couldn't help but smile. Well, I'm sure there's a job for you here. How about helping me hand out cookies? The boy's face lit up, and the sparkle of hope in his eyes reminded Jake of the flickering flame of dreams that seemed to be slowly reigniting in himself. I can do that, he exclaimed, bouncing on his toes. As they gathered cookies, it struck Jake how this little encounter felt significant. From one small act of kindness, a connection was forming. Moments later, the event began to fill with people, laughter, chatter, and the soft clinking of cups providing a comforting backdrop. As Jake chatted with the regulars, sharing stories and laughter, he felt the weight of his own burdens lift just a little. It was different than hiding away in his thoughts. He was part of something bigger now, an unexpected piece of a community crafted from shared joys and sorrows. But just as he was settling into the rhythm of the day, a familiar figure approached from the back of the cafe. Jake's breath caught in his throat. It was a woman he recognized, one of the regulars whose presence often floated between shadows and light. Her face bore the kind of sadness that echoes in an empty room, a reminder of all Jake had been grappling with. Before he could decide how to react, she spoke softly. "Jake, I need to talk to you about something important." A rush of emotions stirred within him, both curiosity and dread. What was it that she needed to share? Jake's heart raced. Would this new revelation change everything around him once more? Jake's heartbeat quickened as the woman's eyes locked onto his. There was a heaviness there, a weight he could almost feel pressing in on him. The noise of the cafe faded to a murmur, the laughter around him blurring into nothingness as he focused on her pale face framed by tousled hair. "What is it?" he managed, his voice barely a whisper, wrapped in a thread of anxiety.
She stepped closer, her lips trembling slightly. "I know you might find this strange, but I've been watching you. You seem to have a light, a kindness about you, and I could really use someone like that right now." Her words were punctuated by a soft sob, and Jake felt a rush of compassion flood through him. "Is everything okay?" he asked, instinctively stepping closer. "You can talk about whatever's on your mind." She glanced around as if to ensure no one else was tuning in. "It's my son. He passed away a few months ago. I've been lost. Sometimes it feels like I'm drowning in an ocean of grief, and I just don't know what to do anymore." His heart ached at her words. Losing someone was like losing part of your own self, and he understood that sentiment all too well. He took a breath, steadying himself, and reached out to touch her arm gently. "I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how hard that must be." She nodded, a tear escaping down her cheek. "I come here to the cafe sometimes to just be around people, but today marks his birthday, and I didn't know how to celebrate, or even if I wanted to." The sadness in her voice wrapped around Jake like a cold blanket. Suddenly, the idea of cookies and community seemed trivial compared to the weight of her pain. It was here, in the everyday moments of connection, that healing could start, even if just a little. "Maybe we can honor him today," Jake suggested, inspiration sparking in his chest. "What if we set up a table in his memory? We could share stories about him, or even hand out cookies in his name. It could be a way for you to connect with others." Her eyes widened, surprise mingling with hope. "You think people would want to do that?" "I think they would," he replied confidently. "I mean, everyone here knows what it's like to lose someone. We all carry our own heartaches." She looked at him, the shadows in her eyes beginning to lift, and he felt a swell of determination. This wasn't just about her son anymore. It was about bringing people together, creating a space for sharing and healing. "Okay," she said slowly, a small smile breaking through the sorrow. "Let's do it."
As they began to organize the makeshift tribute, the boy with messy hair returned. He saw the two of them and, with wide eyes, asked, "Are we doing something special?" Jake knelt beside him, something bubbling up inside. "Yes, we're going to celebrate a life and share cookies. Want to help?" The boy grinned, his earlier nervousness forgotten, and jumped in to take part. Together, they set up a beautiful table adorned with white flowers, pictures, and a place for everyone to write a message. Jake watched the crowd shift as guests began to gather around, drawn in by the warmth of the atmosphere and the somber reverence of the moment. Just as Jake started to feel a sense of hope growing, a loud crash disrupted the gathering. A table spilled over, and all eyes turned to see who had caused the commotion.
The crowd parted, revealing another woman, upset and panicked. What revelation would this new arrival bring to their developing moment of connection? The woman stood there, breathless and wide-eyed, as if the world around her had blurred into chaos while she remained frozen in place. Her hands were shaking, gripping a tray filled with drinks that were now spilling across the cafe floor. A couple of customers gasped, and Jake could feel tension snaking through the people gathered for the tribute. "Are you all right?" he called out, stepping toward her. The mutual anxiety in the room hung thick in the air, heavy enough to slice through. She visibly struggled to regain composure, hastily wiping a tear from her cheek while trying to steady the tray. "I'm sorry, Her voice cracked, the words tumbling out in a rush. "I didn't mean to. I was just trying to get some water for my son." Jake's heart sank at the mention of the boy, recognizing a similar pain mirrored in her anguish. "Is he here?" The woman nodded, her eyes darting around as if frantically searching for someone. "He's outside, sitting on the curb. He was feeling faint, and I thought I could take him something to drink." The first woman, the one Jake had been talking to, stepped forward. "Maybe I could help." Her voice was calm, like a soothing balm. "Let's go get him together. He needs you." The nervous tension shifted to hopefulness as the two women rushed off, vulnerability weaving through their shared sorrow. Jake was left standing by the table, the weight of their stories pressing down on him. The boy, with messy hair, still clutching a cookie, stood beside him with wide eyes, unsure of what to think. "What's happening?" the boy asked, confusion written across his face. "Sometimes people just need a little help," Jake replied gently, kneeling to the boy's level. "Just like how we're honoring a son who is gone, we're about to reach out to another who needs his mother." The boy nodded slowly, a hint of understanding flickering across his features. "Can I help too?" "That would be great," Jake said, his heart warming at the boy's eagerness. "Let's finish setting up here, and then we'll join them." As they organized the photos and notes, every item seemed to breathe life into the memory of the woman's son. Words of encouragement and love began to flow as people gathered closer, sharing stories as they adorned the table. Minutes felt like hours as anticipation built. Suddenly, the two women returned, now accompanied by a small boy, his face pale but his eyes filled with curiosity. A collective gasp echoed through the crowd as they took in the scene at the table. "Is that for my brother?" the new arrival asked, his voice soft yet hopeful. Jake recognized the pain hidden within the tiny frame. The room grew quiet, all eyes on him. "Yes," Jake said, feeling the emotions tighten in his throat. "We're remembering him today. If you'd like, you can share something about him." The boy stepped forward, hesitating for just a moment before looking up at the small gathering. "His name was Theo," he whispered, a mix of sorrow and pride coloring his voice. "He loved dinosaurs and rainbows and cookies, just like the ones you're sharing." As everyone absorbed his words, Jake felt a surge of warmth spread through the crowd, an unspoken bond forming among them all. Humbled by the power of connection and memories, Jake knew something profound was unfolding. Yet still, a question loomed large within him. What other stories were hidden within this gathering, and how many more hearts were aching to be shared? As the boy clutched his cookie tighter, the murmurs of the crowd shifted from sadness to curiosity. Jake glanced down at the boy, whose innocent sincerity mirrored the rawness of the moment. Here, amidst the pain of loss, a flicker of hope and connection burned brightly. Jake felt the urge to bridge the emotional distance that sometimes made people feel isolated in their grief. "Do you want to tell us more about Theo?" Jake encouraged gently, kneeling down a bit closer to the boy. He saw the tiniest glimmer of resilience in the child's eyes, like a small thread of sunlight breaking through an overcast sky. With a little nod, the boy took a hesitant step forward, looking back at his mother just briefly before speaking up. "He likes to build things too," he said, his voice stronger now. "He made the best forts out of blankets. Some days he pretended our dog was a dragon." Laughter mingled with the tears, an unexpected blend of joy and sorrow filling the air. The boy's brief anecdote sparked smiles and soft sharing among those who had come to pay their respects. Jake could feel the warmth of the moment settling over the mourners, as if they were all woven into the same tapestry of memory, each thread significant. The smaller boy, emboldened by the supportive atmosphere, said, "Can we build a fort for him here?" His face, normally shadowed by worry, was now glowing with purpose. A woman stepped up, her eyes misty but inspiring. "I think that's a lovely idea," she said. "We can all help. Let's honor Theo in a way that shows how loved he truly was." Encouraged by this, the crowd sprang into action. People shifted their chairs and tables, bringing extra blankets and cushions. A fort began to take shape, a symbol of cherished childhood moments and the joyful spirit of a boy who had brought light into so many lives. Just then, a distinguished gentleman with gray hair and a suit entered the cafe. He had been unaware of the event, his gaze drawn to the gathering crowd. His gaze landed on Jake, and he approached with measured steps. "Excuse me," he said, a quizzical look on his face. "What's happening here?" "A tribute for a boy named Theo," Jake replied, motioning toward the makeshift fort. "They're sharing stories about him." The man's expression softened as he listened. He stepped closer, his attention now focused on the children helping to create something special. "What a beautiful way to remember him," he said quietly, visibly moved. As the fort grew taller, laughter started to echo around them, children climbing in and out, adults reminiscing about their own childhoods. Even the distinguished gentleman couldn't resist a warm smile. For a moment, it felt like time stood still, a community of strangers coming together, united in affection for a boy they all had never met. Yet, beneath the laughter, Jake remained aware of the heavy silence that draped around the boy's mother, who watched her son engaging fully for the first time since they had arrived. Jake felt a pang of sadness for her, knowing that life's moments should not be overshadowed by despair, even in the depths of mourning. As evening crept in and the sun began to set, Jake looked back at the boy, who was now inside the fort wearing a huge grin, surrounded by his mom and the supportive community. But just as the atmosphere turned light and hopeful, a thought struck Jake with undeniable urgency. What if this was not just a tribute to lost memories, but a bridge to someone who could help? He turned to the distinguished man again, curiosity brimming. "What brings you here today, sir? Perhaps you're searching for someone too?" The man's brow furrowed, and it seemed he might have a story to share as well. The man hesitated for a moment, his face reflecting a myriad of emotions. "I came here just to grab a coffee," he admitted, a soft smile breaking through the gravity of the day. "But it seems like I stumbled into something much more profound than I expected." Jake felt a rush of boldness. "You can join us, you know. We're remembering a boy named Theo." The man's eyes shimmered, taking in the fort that had grown from laughter and memories. "You're right. I'd love to share something."
He stepped closer to the fort, and as he did, an undeniable warmth radiated from the small gathering. Jake could see all the children wrapped up in the sheer joy of creation, their faces animated with excitement. What had begun as sorrow now blossomed into hope. "My name is Mr. Reed," he introduced himself to the now lively group. "A few years back, I lost my granddaughter. She was around your age," he said, gesturing toward the younger children, "and it was one of the hardest things our family ever faced." The room grew quiet again, but this time with a palpable sense of understanding. What I learned in the aftermath was that laughter, joy, and remembering the good times could help heal the scars of grief. The shared memories became a light against the dark. "That's what you're all doing here," Mr. Reed elaborated, his voice steady and warm. "It matters." As he spoke, Jake felt that healing presence ebbing through the crowd. The adults nodded, emboldened by the authentic resonance of a shared loss. It was as if Mr. Reed took the scattered pieces of each heartache and wove them into a fragile but resilient thread that bound them all together. "We're building a fort in Theo's honor," the little boy said, eyes sparkling. "He liked dragons." "Sounds like a great adventure," Mr. Reed responded, his smile widening. "Would you like some help?" Together, they added more cushions and blankets, the children laughing and dragging each addition over to the growing structure. The atmosphere shifted. Lightness filled the space, transforming grief into unity and resilience. It was as though the fortress stood as a celebration of life, rich with shared stories, laughter, and the subtle reminder that they weren't alone. Jake glanced around, taking in each face. The boy with messy hair beamed. The two women shared laughter as they gathered around the fort, and Mr. Reed, who had come in as a stranger, was now part of their intricate tapestry. Suddenly, a voice floated over the crowd. What a beautiful fort! It was the cafe owner, Charles, his expression radiating contentment. He'd been watching from behind the counter, deeply moved by the spontaneous outpouring of community spirit. "It looks like an army of love," Charles exclaimed, joining the scene. "I'd say everyone has shared a piece of themselves here today. This is what life is really about." The moment resonated deep within Jake. He felt the weight of his own struggles dissolve as the bonds around him strengthened. They were all navigating grief, but also celebrating their triumphs, their connections evolving through kindness and shared experiences. As he stood back from the fort, looking at the gathering, Jake felt that ember of hope glowing brighter than ever before. The event may have begun in honor of Theo, but it had transformed into a movement of healing and encouragement. "I think we should have cookies in the fort," Jake suggested, excitement spilling from him. "Yes!" cheered the little boy, jumping up and down. With newfound energy, they gathered plates of cookies, transporting them into the makeshift fort. As the children shared stories and treats, laughter erupted like fireworks, illuminating the shadows that had lingered for too long. And in that moment, enveloped in warmth and community, Jake realized that life wasn't just about the weight of burdens, but rather the possibility of transforming them into bridges of connection. As the sun dipped low in the sky, the last ray fell across Jake's beaming face. He'd gone from uncertainty to newfound purpose, a journey that connected him to people he had never imagined. He turned to face Charles, gratitude filling his heart. For not only had he found a job, but also a family, forged from shared experiences and the willingness to face life's adversities together. Jake took a deep breath, letting it wash over him. He could feel the transition from despair to hope, from loneliness to community, flowing through the cafe, through them all. It was here, amid laughter and heartache, that he understood this was just the beginning. His heart filled to the brim as he ventured into tomorrow with a promise. He would not only uplift himself, but also those around him, weaving stories of togetherness into the fabric of their lives. As the last cookie disappeared from the plates and the decorations fell into comfortable disarray, Jake knew this was now his home,
a place of kindness and healing. No longer just a boy carrying his mother's burdens, he was Jake, part of a greater community where dreams could flourish. And as the warmth of relationships enveloped him, he was ready to greet everything the future had in store. Now, before you leave and run off into your own adventures, it's crucial that you support this journey. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right away to help the algorithm know just how powerful this message was. Comment below about your heart's response to this ending. How did it move you? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video. Send it to at least 5 friends who need this transformative inspiration in their lives. Your love and support is what makes our community stronger. Let's lift each other up.